not even recording you.
Post it. I don't care. I don't care. Oh, I just want you more.
Tony, stop. What the fuck are you doing, bro?
I need you. Take me back. Please. I'm going crazy. Please.
What is going on, everybody? I'm back. And I've been drug out of retirement to make this video, guys. I didn't want to make this video, but I've seen so much of the Atgames shills, the Atgames industry plants tell you that Zen Studios is evil, Atgames is the best, so I can't let that go. So I have to come out of retirement. I have to sit in my desk. This is the first time I've sat in my desk in a long time to make a video. And I'm not sure any of you out there are aware, but March 6th, I was actually downsized from my job. So this was the chair that I normally sat at for my work. And I have not sat here in quite some time. When I do my show with Rexer, I sit here. And I'm actually getting paid full salary for a year. So I'm enjoying life. My wife and I are going to travel this summer. She's a school aide. So we have so much planned, and I will get a job in the fall. But you ain't here for that. You're here because I have some thoughts and opinions on what's going on with this Atgames Zen lawsuit. In case you've been living under a rock, Zen Studios sent Atgames a Dear John letter basically telling them, get out of the house. We are no longer dating. Take your shit and go. Well, Atgames is crying. And Atgames isn't going quietly in the night because Atgames filed a lawsuit against Zen Studios for breach of contract. So I just wanted to do something real quick here, show you the lawsuit. I'll tell you where to get it if you want to read it. But before we get to that lawsuit, I wanted to just kind of paint a picture of what happened. Like, how did we get here? It seemed like a natural fit to have Atgames and Zen Studios join forces. Atgames was the clear leader at that time, a couple years ago in the digital pinball space for making a cabinet that represents pinball. I owned the HD version. I sold it once Atgames got out of control. And Atgames no longer cared about customer service. They didn't care about you logging into your machine. I can go on and on. So I sold mine. But this partnership was supposed to burn cash. They were supposed to be smoking cigars with $100 bills because this was supposed to be a partnership that made sense, a partnership that we wanted, and a partnership that should have been long-term. So I'm not sure any of you are aware, but this partnership was announced back in 2013 around September here, according to the Zen Studios website. And they basically say, look at this, guys. They're thrilled to have a collaboration with Atgames. And they go on and on here. This is the first time that they were going to advertise a 4K resolution. And the 4K moniker was one of the first problems with this entire product line. So they announced this back in September of 2023. It came out, I believe early 2024, if I'm not mistaken. And the expectations for this was off the charts. And let me show you why. Come down here. Come down here, guys, because no one's going to talk to you like this. I'm going to show you stuff that the Atgames shows aren't going to show you, because the picture that they were trying to paint of Zen Studios being a villain, I'm on Team Zen right now. After what I've experienced with Atgames, I'm on Team Zen. But check this out. Back in 2023, they thought they were just going to get dump trucks full of cash. That look at this highlighted text. It says, would you like to see more? We are excited to tell you that with Atgames, we plan to release 15 exclusive Legends collectors of 5,000 each with a custom side panel. Think about that. They were going to release 15 different versions of a pinball skin, you know, Addams Family, Attack from Mars, Jurassic Park, all that, of 5,000 each. That's how sky high these expectations were for this partnership. And that, to me, is where the problem started, even before they released this. Because guess what, guys? We didn't get 15 skins. We might have got half of that. They didn't sell 5,000 of each skin. They might have sold 20% of that. Again, speculation here. Everything I'm saying here is all speculative. I am not a lawyer. I'm giving you my opinion. But look at these words that are saying how excited they were and the expectation. So right off the rip, they overestimated the demand for these machines. And why? Why did they overestimate? Well, these things were expensive. And not only were they expensive, but guys, it didn't release well. Because not 6 months later from the announcement to this post on April 26, 2024, Atgames mentioned something about flipper lag. Oh, what is that, ladies and gentlemen? That is where you hit your flipper on a digital pinball machine and it activates a second later. Not good for pinball. And it wasn't good for Atgames. And it wasn't good for Zen either, because when they released these, it had a ton of lag. It was unplayable. It was unplayable. They ignored it too. Rexer and I told everybody this was an issue, even before it came out. We had a thought that the chip they were using was underpowered. Everybody told us we were wrong. And guess what, guys? Here we are. So on April 26, 2024, a post was made about lag, 4K, and how are they going to fix it. So in the meantime, nobody was buying these things. So then Atgames introduced look, their Atgames affordable financing. Do you guys remember this? They can't sell these. They promised you 15 skins of 5,000 each, and they couldn't sell these. So they turned themselves into a bank. They wanted you to buy these on a buy it now, pay later situation and pay Atgames. And I made a video saying, no, don't do this. Once again, shows come out, attack me. And guess what? There were problems. Atgames is not a bank. People paid and couldn't play their games. It was terrible. And so here you have another misstep in the partnership. And then, so let's just get to the punchline here. Wah, wah, wah. April 24th, literally 2 years to the day, folks. 2 years to the day from this post about fixing the lag. Zen Studios told Atgames, get the hell off my lawn. Take your clothes with you. I'm gonna get the cops involved if you don't leave my house. Gone. And Zen Studios basically said, we're done. Why? Anyone's guess. If I were to guess, Atgames under-delivered sales expectations, which triggered probably some type of clause in these contracts. Let's be honest, guys. If Atgames and Zen were making money, nobody would have a problem. You only exist in business to make money. When you're not making money, you have to evaluate things. And I guarantee once these contracts are blown open to the public, we are going to see the overzealous expectation of these sales items. And of course, Zen Studios has to evaluate themselves. And if there's a triggering mechanism that voids the contract, Zen's going to take it. You think Zen just woke up one day and said, cut the contract? No, they have lawyers. They looked at these things. They think they have a case to get Atgames out. Now, Atgames, they didn't really say much about it. But what they did do on May 14th was they filed a lawsuit against Zen. And they're crying, oh, Zen Studios, without you, we're garbage. So they filed this lawsuit, and they're forcing Zen Studios through the courts to come back and fulfill their contract. Now, what I wanted to do in the next 5 minutes is just blow through this really quick. There's 143 pages here, guys, but 80-something pages is the Blockcast translation when Mel was on the Blockcast and they asked Mel point blank about the Atgames situation. And Mel didn't really go nuts or say anything incriminating. He just said, we'll see. So Atgames is using that as evidence that Zen Studios gave Atgames irreparable harm to their brand. It's so funny to see YouTubers in these lawsuits. I'm kind of indirectly named, but not named, because Atgames mentions that they faced harm from the home arcade community. Can you imagine in a lawsuit, home arcade communities even mentioned? So it's 143 pages here. 80 of it is, nothing. And before we even go into this, basically, this is worse than the JFK assassination files. Everything's redacted because Atgames doesn't want you to know the terms of the contract that they didn't fulfill, which is triggering this. So they have everything blacklined and redacted. But there is something in here, ladies and gentlemen, that nobody's talking about that I'm going to bring to your attention because this is serious. This is a Hail Mary lawsuit filed by Atgames to stay in business. They are in serious jeopardy of closing their doors. And I don't think that's hyperbole. They literally spell it out in this lawsuit. Yeah, they crying wolf and inflating it for the judges, for the courts. Yeah. But I think it's 80% truth in here. And I'm going to show you something in here on the next, I think it's page 3, that nobody's talking about. Because Atgames actually lists in this document when they're going out of business. So, let's just talk about it. Basically, page 1, Atgames is laying out that they entered into an agreement with Zen Studios. They lay out the terms here. And you start to see the redactions immediately. Because they don't want to tell you what the hell is going on here. They want to cry wolf without telling the public the truth of the situation. So basically what they're saying is that Zen Studios switched CEOs, and that was the catalyst for them ignoring them for months and then sending this termination letter. And whatever, I don't care if Zen Studios switches a CEO. You probably were lucky Atgames that Zen Studios didn't terminate this earlier if there were grounds to terminate this contract. I am not saying that Zen Studios is right. I'm not saying Atgames is right. What I'm saying is Zen Studios thinks they're right. And Zen Studios has lawyers. They comb through their contract. Let's not even talk about the situation where Atgames is leaking proprietary releases by Zen Studios that nobody should be leaking. They leaked Tomb Raider. There was some Star Wars listed on a calendar. This is insane that Atgames can get away with this stuff. And if there is something in this contract about leaking proprietary releases, who knows? But whatever it is, Zen Studios thinks they have a leg to stand on, and they kick these guys right to the curb. Anyway, so let's go. Nothing crazy here. Basically saying they were terminated. And when you terminate, now they have to cease selling everything Zen branded. There is nothing here, that they're saying, that they cannot produce, they cannot sell. So these pages are basically saying that the irreparable harm comes from not being able to sell the Zen branded materials. But here it is, guys. This is what I believe is the most insane thing in this lawsuit. And I read this lawsuit a couple times, but read this. I'm going to highlight this because this is very important. So, because of the unique nature of the business that was built around the Zen collaboration and is dependent on Zen licensed titles, there is no monetary damage amount that could salvage the business after the fact. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, if Zen does not continue to carry out its obligations on the agreement, then there is redacted text. I believe if that text was unredacted, that unredacted text would say we would cease to be in operations and it would have an end date. Could be this year. Could be early Q1 2027. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This situation is so dire for Atgames that I believe that this highlighted text spells the date of their bankruptcy. That's why this is a Hail Mary play. They need the courts to force Zen to come back and do. Who's gonna force the company to come? Do you even want to work with them at that point? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna say it one more time. Look at this sentence one more time. Indeed, if Zen does not continue to carry out his obligations under the agreement, redacted text, if we unredact it, I guarantee there's an end date there that the company can't cease. Which is a little ridiculous. Let's just stop there for a second. As you've seen by the dates that I just shown you, right? This date that they got into this agreement was 2023. Not even 3 years, right? How did you, Atgames, allow yourself to leverage your entire company in less than 3 years to be Zen Studios dependent? You didn't depend on Zen Studios before 2023, and you were the leader of digital pinball in the home arcade space. So why did you change? That's on you, Atgames, that you positioned your entire company around a product that did not sell. That is not on Zen Studios. And in fact, I guarantee once these documents are unlocked, you are going to see crazy sales numbers from Atgames promising a return on Zen's, investment. So let's go back here real quick. They're talking about who the parties, who they're suing, and then the general terms of the contract. And it says here, in reliance on Zen's licensing commitments, Atgames structured his business around the availability. Yeah, you structured your entire business and you screwed over all your HD users that loved your product, including myself. That's how crazy you were, Atgames. You literally cut your ecosystem off because of Zen. That's on you. Nobody forced you to do that or sign a contract if Zen made you do that. So you know what happened? Nobody bought your product. And this is where we're at now. And so basically, let's keep going. There's nothing really in here. It says here that Zen sabotages the relationship with Anticipable, repudiates the agreement. It says within weeks of blah, 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 communication on Zen's sides broke down from late October. Well, why is communication breaking down? If you're sitting on piles of cash and this thing is working correctly and payments are being made and titles are being sold, why is there a breakdown of any communication? You should be on the phone daily. Yo, we sold 50,000 tables last week. But you know what? You didn't. You raised the tables beyond the expectation of any reasonable pinball player to like $30 when I can get this stuff on Steam for $10 or less. VR, I can get 3 tables for $10. So you already punished the user because of this, because you weren't selling anything. You think it was a good thing to raise tables in the middle of this fight? And then let's go back down here. It says by late 2025, early 26, Zen began to undermine the Atgames partnership and product offerings. Representatives made statements on, here's the Blockade podcast. Oh, Atgames, you're quoting home arcade podcasts. You've lost your mind. Then this negative campaign by Zen, it wasn't a negative campaign. He was asked a question and he answered it honestly. And he didn't say anything that would have been like a gotcha moment for any lawyer. Go back and watch it, guys. And by the way, we knew there was trouble in paradise before this. So if Atgames is acting like, oh, this is no big deal, they came out of nowhere. Anyone who was in this space knew there were problems. Stop it. Let's keep going. It's only a couple pages more. And that's pretty much it. So basically what they won, let's see if they won here. It says on the retail front, termination agreement basically blew out the Turtles pinball. Like the HDP is dead, and that was the promise that Zen was coming to that. But Mel never, the only literature that you see on this is the Mike B. Shilweenie leaked the Turtles back in August. I have the link, and he basically put on his screen Zen was coming. If anyone's to blame, it's him. He should have never done that stream, because if you look at all the literature for the HDP that came out after he dropped his video saying it was coming, it's not branded. There's no Zen branding on anything. So there was pre-branding and post-branding, post-release branding. So, this Turtles technically was dropped with the expectation that it will come, and it didn't. I don't know why you would produce a machine without a contract signed, and making these tables available ASAP. Then it talks about the distributors here, that nobody wants to work with them because of their distributors, you know. And then there's some redacted text here that's interesting. Once the Zen license is terminated, Atgames cannot blah, blah, blah. So let's go here. And then here's something interesting here. It says Atgames Pinball and Hybrid account for over of Atgames overall operations. Again, redacted. Who knows what that number is? It just goes on and on about Atgames crying that they're going out of business without Zen. And guys, they had tables before Zen. I don't know why, you know, Atgames restructured their entire business around Zen and couldn't make it work. They knew they were in trouble. They've had significant layoffs, and so is Zen. So I'm not excusing Zen. Zen's a little different. They're more of a reorg. Atgames is so bad right now. They have AI hosts hosting their weekly pinball tournament leaderboards. I mean, for all we know, they're going to have AI lawyers go and fight this case. It's absolutely insane. It's insane. So what, at the end of the day, does Zen want out of this? You know, it's simple. They want Zen to come back and fulfill their contract. But here's the thing. If Zen comes back and fulfills their contract, it wasn't working when they were together. Why would it work when they come back? In fact, if Zen loses this case and is forced to come back, there will be a swift backlash. And no, it's going to be even worse. And my prediction is, let's say Zen loses, they come back. It's going to be even less sales. It's just a bad situation, you know. And through all of this, through this announcement, through the lag update, through the affordable financing, you had the industry change. There has been a significant interest in VR pinball, led by, Zen Studios. So Zen Studios is, you know, looking at the investment they're making in VR pinball, and they're selling tables. They're creating an ecosystem. They're creating a library. I think we have 40 to 50 tables now. And they're realizing that that's where we need to put our assets. We need to grow this. This is a 3-year investment. They've got nothing back as far as Zen is concerned, or else they wouldn't be quitting. Nobody quits a partnership if you're making money. Bottom line. And Zen scrubbed their contract. They looked for a way out of this, and they think they have one. Atgames thinks they don't. So here we are. Got a lawsuit filed. You got 2 companies fighting. I have no horse in the game. I sold my Atgames long ago, about a year ago, so I can get my Golden Tee Go. Guys, there was a period of 2 months I couldn't log into my pinball, and I almost took a sledgehammer on video to just get rid of it. But I didn't. I sold it, got rid of it. It's somebody else's problem now. So I have no horse in this game. I just hope Zen Studios keeps giving us VR pinball. That's where all my time is, with my X Arcade back there. So whatever happens here, it doesn't bother me. Would I have liked these machines to be more affordable, be lag free, and have $10 tables instead of $30 tables? Yeah, but that ship has sailed. They want to know why this partnership didn't work. I just told you, $30 tables, lag, too much money. There it is, guys. So maybe we'll get an unredacted version of this when this case moves forward. I believe, guys, I have to go back here. Where is, I think there's the case here. Let's see if I can go back. Here it is. There's a date coming up here. Where is it? There it is. So there's a hearing coming up, guys, Thursday, May 21st. Let's see what this hearing is, you know. They're moving quick because they're going to be out of business soon, as I pointed out to that one thing. Oh, guys, we got a Zoom. We have a Zoom. I'm going into the Zoom call. Let's go. Let's see what happens. Your Honor, we have Kev Gret for the defense. I'm going into the Zoom call. Oh, I love it. I'm looking at down here if I can get in here. Yes, I urge everybody to come into the Zoom call. We'll see if they kick us out. I will be going in as Kevgret. I will be asking questions. I don't know what's going to happen here, but let's go. Not good. So that's all I had today. I know it went a little long. And I try not to get involved in this, but you know what, guys? I am one of the leading Atgames truthers. You have so many shows in this community that just want to blow smoke up your ass and tell you Zen Studios is evil. They're not. They've treated me so well in this pinball space, playing VR, playing cheap tables on my Switch, on my Steam box, all that stuff. What has Atgames done for me? Nothing but aggravation. So I'm Team Zen. I also understand that Zen could be overstepping here, and they'll get their hand slapped by the court system, and we'll see what happens. But I'm leaning towards Atgames at this point. So if you watch all the other videos and you hear the Atgames truthers or shills trying to tell you Zen is wrong, I'm here to give you a little bit of a balanced perspective, because at the end of the day, something's going to be done with this, and it has to be soon, because Atgames is running out of cash. Oh boy, what a situation we're in. Let me know down below. Are you Team Zen? Are you Team Atgames? What do you think is going on here? Because at the end of the day, it's all about money, and Atgames ain't doing much with it, because they ain't getting any. Talk to you later, guys.